There is a type of intelligence that no classroom ever teaches and no IQ test ever measures. You don't read about it in books. You don't develop it through discipline or ambition. You develop it because at some point in your life you had no other choice. Your environment was unpredictable. The people around you were complicated. And your mind, quietly, without anyone noticing, began doing something extraordinary. It began adapting. Psychologists are only now beginning to understand this phenomenon. They call it traumatic intelligence. And if you have never heard of it before, what you are about to hear may change how you see yourself entirely. Here is what the science tells us. Trauma does not only leave wounds. In specific and measurable ways, it also leaves abilities. Research in neuropsychology shows that individuals who grew up navigating emotionally complex or unpredictable environments develop remarkably heightened capacities for reading people, managing chaos, and sensing things others never consciously register. The brain, shaped by adversity, becomes finely tuned in ways most people's brains simply are not. These are the signs that yours was too. Sign 1: you notice things in people's voices before they finish their sentence, not just what someone says, but how their voice shifts mid-sentence. A slight tightening. A pause that comes a fraction too early. You catch it before they even realize something is off in themselves. This is not heightened hearing. It is a neurological adaptation. Your brain learned at some point that words were not always the truth, so it trained itself to listen to the layer underneath them. Sign 2: you apologize. Even when you have done nothing wrong, you feel responsible for the discomfort in a room, even when you did not create it. When someone goes quiet, something in you immediately scans for what you did. This pattern has a name in psychology: hypervigilant guilt, and it develops in people who spent years in environments where tension always felt like their fault to fix. Your nervous system learned to take ownership of the peace around you. Sign 3: you are extraordinarily calm in a crisis, but fall apart when everything is fine. When something goes wrong, you become focused, clear, and almost unnaturally steady. People around you are impressed. But later, in the quiet, when there is nothing to manage, nothing to solve, your body does not know how to settle. Your nervous system was calibrated for urgency. Stillness never felt safe. Psychologists call this stress adapted functioning, and it is one of the most invisible signs of a mind shaped by adversity. Sign 4: you carry guilt for other people's emotions without realizing it. Someone in your presence is unhappy, and it becomes your internal emergency. Even if you had nothing to do with their mood, you begin quietly adjusting your tone, your energy, your words. You shrink or expand yourself based on what the room seems to need. This is emotional regulation on behalf of others, and it is a survival skill that was once necessary and now feels automatic. Sign 5: what's striking about traumatic intelligence is that none of these signs look like intelligence from the outside. They look like anxiety. They look like overthinking. They look like being too sensitive. But that is exactly what makes this form of intelligence so rare. It hides in plain sight, even from the person who carries it. Sign 6: you read the energy of a space. The moment you enter it, before anyone says a word, you already know. You walk into a room and something in your body registers. The atmosphere, the dynamic, the unspoken tension between two people sitting 3 feet apart. This is not imagination. Research in social neuroscience suggests that people with early adversity develop a markedly heightened sensitivity to environmental cues. Your nervous system learned to map every room before your mind caught up. Sign 7: you find it nearly impossible to ask for help, not because you are proud, but because somewhere deep in your history, needing something and not having it met taught you a quiet, devastating lesson that depending on others carries risk. So you became extraordinarily capable. You figured things out alone. You built systems for every problem before asking for support. Psychologists describe this as anxious self-sufficiency, a kind of competence that developed as armor and eventually became identity. Sign 8. You remember small details about people that they have completely forgotten: a passing comment someone made 6 months ago, a preference they mentioned once, the way their face changed briefly when a specific topic came up. People are often surprised, sometimes unsettled, when you recall these things. But for you, it was never effort. Your brain was wired to store emotional data. In earlier chapters of your life, remembering those details helped you navigate relationships in ways that felt critical to your safety. Sign 9. You have a difficult relationship with receiving love without suspicion. When someone is consistently kind to you, something in you waits for the condition. You appreciate warmth, but some part of you keeps a quiet distance, waiting for the moment it gets complicated. Cognitive psychology refers to this as attachment ambivalence, the inability to fully relax into love, because experience taught you that closeness often came with unpredictability. The people who formed your deepest bonds are also those your guard studied most carefully. Sign 10. You carry a sense of meaning that most people your age haven't reached yet. You have thought about things most people your age have not been forced to think about. Pain, impermanence, the weight of certain choices. And somewhere in that confrontation with difficulty, you developed a clarity about what actually matters. Research on post-traumatic growth by psychologists Tedeschi and Calhoun shows that people who face adversity early often arrive at wisdom, real, lived wisdom, years before others even begin looking for it. Here is what matters most. Traumatic intelligence is not a consolation prize. It is not just making the best of a hard beginning. It is a real, documented, neurological transformation that happened inside you. The perceptiveness you carry, the depth of feeling, the way you read people, protect others, and hold yourself together in moments when others cannot. None of that is coincidence. It is the architecture of a mind that was asked to grow quickly, and did. What you choose to build with it now is entirely yours.